Welcome back to Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians, lying corporate media. I'm Jake Duesenberg, your host. We're broadcasting live from Roseville, Minnesota, in the belly of the beast, the liberal zombie apocalypse of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Joining me today is former UFC fighter and gubernatorial candidate Brad Kohler. How you doing there, Brad?
Doing great, Jake. How are you?
Doing just fine. Thank you very much. This episode is brought to you by Alpine Cabinetry in the great city of St. Cloud, Minnesota. I don't just say that, honestly, I think St. Cloud is central to Minnesota. Well, it is central Minnesota. But I mean, it's a big enough city in a part of the state that hasn't gone completely nuts. Like I always say, Minneapolis and St. Paul, the liberal zombie apocalypse, right? It's actually a pretty humble, nice city. I love it. Gateway to a lot of great things in northern Minnesota. Also brought to you by Elite Guardian, MN.com. If you want to take your own personal protection into your hands, protecting your family, protecting yourself, join me in one of my permit to carry courses, which is also home defense too. It's a very good course. I think our next one's on Black Friday. So I think that's November 28th. Just go to EliteGuardianMN.com. We're broadcasting live on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Locals Live. A lot of our audience watches after the fact. If you are watching live and you got a question for Brad Kohler, who's a candidate for governor to replace Tampon Tim Walz, feel free to put a comment here in the section. If you want to interrupt me at any time, hit that Rumble rant, and I will go live to your comment. All right, Brad, so this is an interesting conversation, how this all went down. Jesse and I had a recap of the candidates for governor. I think this was a couple weeks ago on our show. And I was giving my assessment of what I thought your campaign looked like. And I think my term was like a third tier or lower tier campaign. You took issue with that. We had an interesting conversation on the phone, like men. Like people can have conversations these days, all these fraidy cats out there. So Brad and I had a conversation. He disagrees with that assessment. I have always liked you, Brad, as a person. You seem to be really good on the issues. You signed the Never Again pledge, which says a governor can never shut down the state of Minnesota unilaterally. It's interesting that most candidates for governor aren't signing that. And of course, Tim Walz won't sign it because he literally did it. So, on that, you seem to be right on the money. I shared with you my thoughts of why I considered you a lower tier candidate, not an assessment on you as an individual, just on the campaign. But you talked about coming on the show, making the case. I love it, man. Let's hash it out. Convince me that you're better than a low tier candidate.
Sure, Jake. And you know what? And no matter what anyone says about you, I like you too. But
well, you know how it goes. You run for office.
I got to put my humor in there as well. Look, you guys have a really good show. I've always supported you guys, and it was caught a little bit off guard. And mutual friends of ours also had made some comments, and I was really not too upset about that. But then I probably felt that you would not listen to me about, number one, the money that I have raised. So I did show it to our mutual friend because I know you would have believed her. And so I did show it to her, and which is probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And, again, we're still raising money. And it average about $30,000 a month. We've been doing pretty well with that. And it's nothing big. It's not a lot of
but no one would think you're even raising that kind of money.
Well, I understand that. But I also have my book sales. My book sales are going very well. And then, we have our mailers and then the Win Red. And so we have different revenue streams coming in. The mailers are averaging between 23 to 25,000 a month. And the Win Red is at the last 90 days at about 30,000. I mean, and again, I don't like talking like this because, like I mentioned off screen, is I've been up before and I've done very well. And when you get arrogant and cocky and lose that humbleness of who you really are, things can happen. So I stay very focused to my mission, what the plan is here. And I'm just not one of those people who like to brag I had to be forced to go out there and say, "Hey, I'm a 3-time world champion." I don't like talking about, things that I've done and my accolades, just because. Well, I mean, I'd rather get to know a person a one-on-one and say, "Hey, I like this guy for who he is," not the superficial him. And so,
Okay,
yeah,
let's talk. Let me interject real
yeah,
quick. So, I mean, that's to me like a very virtuous thing you're saying. Okay, right? And I'd have a lot of respect for what you just said, except for the fact that we're not having a conversation because I'm trying to meet Brad, like a small businessman that I might be a vendor or maybe a customer of his. You're running for governor. You're not having what is it, 3 million, whatever the voters are for no, a little under 3 million. You're not having that many personal conversations. At some point, you have to boast. You have to get that resume out there. You have to give the people an impression that you can raise money, the impression you can put out a good campaign. So it
yeah,
sounds
you're
like
right.
that's a good virtue if you're just, maybe dealing with me personally. But how do you account for that when you're running for governor?
The only okay, so really, I don't know what the other candidates have been raising, other than the fact that like Philip Parrish mentioned in a event up north that I was told what he said, and then Christian Robbins had boasted about the money she got from you know um, the Indian community, which again I have a huge problem with because of the H-1B problem we have here in Minnesota. I really think that the boasting about where you get your money from is to me questionable. We have enough problems with our fraud and how our politicians right now are handling money. So for me, I've always said I'd rather have 1% of $1 million than 100% of nothing. So my little 3, 4, 5 program, or 0% of $1 million, I'd rather have 1% of it. You know where I'm getting at here. My 3, 4, 5 program that I have been running through my website, also what I didn't mention before, has created quite a bit of a constant revenue stream every month. It climbs every month. $3, get on board with the lowering state income tax. $4, we'll lower property tax. $5, we'll lower card tabs to $99 left. Our plan has worked. And I took this from Donald Trump. When he went out and started doing these streaming things about, hey, I know times are tough, but if you can kick in $5 or $10, it goes a long way because we're up against a beast here, And so I go, you know what? I'm running my own campaigns at the time, so I don't have a lot to give them, but I want to help. So I did. I donated $10 a couple of times, and I kind of felt like I helped them win. Meanwhile, of course, I'm on the campaign trail as well, trying to raise money, which till this campaign, and I still have yet to run a fundraiser. I have been very blessed with people helping out without asking them.
So
So
you
now
haven't
that
had a
I'm running,
fundraiser event yet?
yes, I am. We're running it in February, and I guess I'm building my team and the people that around me that when I have a fundraiser, they're all going to be there. So, I see how the GOP has been doing things and they've been failing for years. I got in and listened to the GOP, and we'll get into my background here in a minute. But when the GOP, finally acknowledged me and said they'll help me, they gave me these people to get mentored with. One of the guys was Greg Pepin, and Greg helped me with my press release. And we'll get into this topic as we go, but I'm going to get into this. But I listened to them and said, my press release said, felon, UFC fighter, author, inventor, businessman, Brad Kohler run for Senate. And we thought we were going to get blasted on that, and nothing happened. So I'm like, okay. And then during the congressional thing, I spoke in front of all the Republican meetings about my background, even the one-on-ones, made sure it's very clear, came up with a very, very honest book about the whole thing. And again, it's the traction's not there. The fact that people want to attack me, I'm happy with. Come on out, because when you find out more about me, you'll see that I'm nowhere near as big of a crook as what we have in office right now.
Yeah, that's
And I'm not
true.
even a crook. You can't fix people that steal. That's
Yeah,
a mental issue. A lot of criminals don't think they'll ever get caught.
yeah. Well,
Of course, mine happened like over 2 decades ago. Okay, and yes,
well, let's address that. I did have a
yeah, let's
question
do
from
that.
O'Bannon. So, I'll read O'Bannon's comment here. Let me make my explanation why I consider you a third tier candidate. Okay. Um, you're telling us something about money. I'll dig a little deeper into that. But my assumption was you weren't raising much money. You don't have much of a campaign staff. The message isn't getting out there. Money isn't everything in politics, but it gets the message out there. If you became a top tier campaign, okay, so it's almost like this is not even subjective. It's like it's objective. If you became a top tier campaign and you were viewed as a threat to the other major campaigns, and we're just talking about the Republican side, they would throw the felony convictions over your head, and then it would be used to basically steer away any kind of support you have. Okay, so that's my rationale, and I think what I explained on the show. But you're open. I like how you say, yeah, your initial press release was addressing the felon up in the front. There's multiple felonies on your record. One of them, and this is from O'Bannon, I want a better explanation of his felony for malicious punishment of a minor. You were convicted of that.
I was, yeah. And again, I've been very honest about this since my roommate spanked her kids. And it wasn't the first time, it was the second time. But the second time I was in the room, and I didn't stop it. And I fought it as long as I could, with all I could muster up. I actually was going through recovering from a ultralight plane crash during this court ordeal. So I was cut from sternum to navel because they had to reattach my stomach and intestines from this crash going through this. So ended up getting hooked on fentanyl, the Duragesic patches that they gave me. Okay. And I was just a very weak person at the bottom of my life. I didn't want to deal with this no more. They wanted to put me in, they just wanted this done. They really did not want to prosecute me. And then,
what do you mean they didn't want to prosecute? You were prosecuted, and
well, but they had to. It's like, hey, we understand, but you were in the room. The father of the kids is, insisting that you get punished for making his kids do push-ups, sit-ups, and squats as my form of punishment. Now,
okay, can I slow down? All right, so, and I think this is important to cover because, and you might have a perfectly great explanation for this whole event. Obviously, this is going to be an attack vector on you, right? And it's not just the Democrats that would do it. And if the Democrats didn't do it, it's the mainstream media that's going to do it on their behalf. But I think even before that, if you were to win the endorsement for the Republican Party would probably disown you, and all of the candidates running against you in the primary would use this as an attack vector, because it says that you were convicted of a felony for malicious. What was it? Malicious.
It's spanking a kid, Jake. Okay, same thing.
I know what is going to be said here, and I'm just looking this up. It says malicious
punishment. It's not
malicious punishment of a child.
Right. It was spanking a kid. That, of course,
in December 15th, 2011. That's what it says. Malicious punishment of a child prior listed offense less than. Okay, so that's what it was. Okay, so now you're saying your roommate. I'm assuming you're dating somebody. Is that?
No, she rented a couple rooms out of my house out in Big Lake. Now, let me just tell you something. Because I had a prior assault for defending myself, and again, this is why I'm very strong on the stand your ground law here in Minnesota, is because the prior, this was no longer a misdemeanor. This became a felony. Otherwise, if I didn't have that prior, it would be a misdemeanor. So that's why it's a felony.
Okay, so and this was I think O'Bannon writes, watching someone get spanked is not a felony. So you have a roommate, not like a romantic relationship, but she's got children that are also living with her. Is that what I'm getting from what you're saying?
Yeah, she rented 3 rooms from my house.
So you're living with a woman and 2 kids, essentially.
3 kids. Yep.
Okay.
No, they were living at my house.
Okay, well. So, living amongst you, like there's no separation or anything like that.
I had a whole. It was a big house.
Got it. Okay.
and I had the whole basement and downstairs, and she had the whole upstairs, and then the middle floor was our kitchen and living room, dining room.
Okay,
So
so what you got prosecuted for then? Explain how. I mean, I'm sure you had a rental agreement and stuff like that, right? So she has a right to be in the house, and obviously you own the house, and you're living there
yeah,
too. So that's not like
well, her
impingement.
kids broke into the neighbor's house
What's
for
that?
the third time. The kids broke into the neighbor's home for
How
the
old are
third
the
time.
kids at this
You
time
know,
that
it was
you live
like
on?
5 and 8 and 12,
The
and
3, okay.
it was just the one kid, and
The
she
12-year-old, I'm assuming?
what's that?
The 12-year-old is the one kid?
No, no, it's the middle child that did it. It
The
wasn't the
8-year-old?
older one. The older one was a great kid.
Okay, so what is the incident that led to you being convicted of a felony? Because it doesn't sound like she's spanking kids and then that would somehow give you a felony. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't compute. So explain it to me so I can understand that.
Well, because my punishment again was exercise and stuff like that. Their kid's father was
Okay,
just
but
not.
you just said that, and I don't understand what you mean by that. You don't have like a romantic relationship with this woman. She's just renting your place. So you're punishing kids with exercise? I don't understand why you would be involved in that.
Well, I mean, it was when she's not home and the kids would mess up. I'm like, okay, guys, go run the track. You're going to mess up like this, or if they break, and kids are kids. But the thing is, I also had my kids in the house, and my kids will tell you that me spanking them never happened. And even the mother of these kids came to my defense, but the prosecutor, the very liberal prosecutor, just had it out for me.
Okay,
And
so essentially what I'm gathering is this woman would leave her children, including a 5-year-old, with you. Um, so you're kind of put in a position where you've got to be like a caregiver, essentially, even though you're just basically the landlord. Is that right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
I had
so
my training facilities there. I had uh, big pool, a big track in the backyard. I had everything out there, and that's where I would train a lot of athletes in my barn, and which had a complete full fitness facility. And so I was home quite a bit training. Also, like I said, I'm an inventor, so I was working in my shed, and so I was home quite a bit, unless I was traveling out training at other schools and gyms while I was fighting.
okay. Um, all right. So the incident then that led to this felony act, and Rose Z says, I'm a huge supporter for Brad, but I appreciate these questions because it will come up and it's a huge hurdle for sure. Yeah. And I hope you understand that. Like, I'm trying to understand it. I think a lot of people would want to understand it because it clearly will. I mean, you know this, Brad. Like, this will be the attack on you if you amount to a threat to these big campaigns. That you understand that, right?
Of course, I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
I thought about this way before I got in. Talked to many people that hey, this is what's going to happen, and would they support me, knowing that this would be my hurdle? Now, again, it's not like this is my first campaign.
Right.
I've been at this now. This is my fourth campaign. It was in the paper last year when I ran for county commissioner.
Yeah,
So it was,
you're opening up to new audiences. Like if
yeah.
you're in Starbuck, Minnesota, like no one knew about Brad Kohler until all of a sudden now he's running for a statewide
Well,
position.
maybe in
So
your
yeah, so
circles,
maybe
but
people in CD3 or in your county know something about you, but like now it's like okay, everyone around the state is starting to hear Brad Kohler's name. So they're kind of curious on it. So now let's get to the incident that led to this felony. Then what happened?
she was drunk,
Okay.
and the kids were then brought home. The one kid was brought home from the sheriff again, and she was upset about this. I was in the kitchen, and she was upset, and she grabbed her and spanked her, and like I said, I was there. The next day, the kids went to their father's house, and the father did not like what he saw, like some spank marks. And I mean, I grew up
Okay, so do you
any.
feel like she was abusive then? Is that what you're saying?
I
Because,
don't think
like,
it wasn't like that. I don't think she like.
well, I mean, you said
Over,
spank marks, like,
well, it was a belt. She was a belt. Okay, and again, neither one of us knew. We grew up in a different
yeah.
world, I guess,
Yeah, I mean,
where
I
that
got
was different back then.
I
And
got
then
the wooden
when
spoon, I
there,
got the my mom had to use a metal spoon sometimes because it still didn't even really hurt.
well,
Dad
again, I
dad
didn't
was much
really
better.
think like. I mean, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and believe me, I grew up with a very aggressive parents who would have the belt was the big or a paddle. I mean, but I
Yeah,
mean,
it's just
I
the way
didn't
it
think.
was. Yeah, it was the way it was. Yeah,
And
I get that.
here in liberal Minnesota, like I said, I'd never really been in politics before. I've been traveling all over the world being a fighter, not thinking that, and I've never spanked my own kids, and they'll attest to that. And bottom line is, I guess when she did this, I didn't react. And again, I'm not making any excuses. I was looped up. I was on morphine. I was on these fentanyl patches. I was still trying to heal from my plane crash, and I was stapled from sternum to navel, and my left leg was in a cast. So I wasn't really coherent about all this. So I'm like dealing with going, hey, calm it down. Come on, let's just settle down here. And then we did. And like I said, the next day,
So that
um,
makes it sound like she was abusing her child in front of
I
you.
don't think I wouldn't call it that. I mean,
Well, if you said calm it down, it sounds like why would you calm it down? Like, listen, I'm not anti-spanking, and I would argue the spanking I use with my children is is to reinforce a very bad behavior like you just ran out in the street as a 4-year-old, right? You cannot do that. A pat on the butt's gonna stop the behavior of you getting hit by a car, right? Um,
I was just
but
reading comments. You know, again, should I mean, I've never spanked my kids. I have never laid a hand on my kids or a woman by any chance. Okay, nothing like that. Because of my prior, because of who I was at the time, I was a target for this prosecutor that did not like me. The police questioned me, and I did admit to yes, I did make them do exercises as a form. And again, that's when I was brought in then and charged. I'm like, so I tried defending myself for as much as I could afford and go as long as I could. But again, you end up plea bargaining. I mean, I was.
what's the evidence they have? Because when they say malicious punishment of child, you're making a statement here that it was this woman, not you. So how do you then end up getting a felony charge of malicious, punishment of child? That's what I think is confusing to people.
It is confusing. It is, and it
Well, and
was
that's
one of those
that's a
things. That,
problem. That's a big problem for
yeah.
your campaign because
Well, they didn't.
once you see the malicious punishment of a minor,
Yeah.
then people are like, "Oh, okay, no
Well,
way." By the way, I judge you. I'm making a judgment of your campaign. I judge you as the person I see today. I am all about. Well, actually, I think America loves you know, the comeback story, right? It's
mhm.
just that this is politics.
Well, I
As
guess I
Brad
feel
Manza wrote,
that.
"They'll bring up things 30 years ago to sink you."
Well, I guess I feel again that God had brought me through this because of my upbringing. I probably should have stopped this. Number one. Secondly, is I see this two-tiered legal system that we're in, where two people could be accused of the same thing, but one person, because of whatever reason, gets off a little easier than the other. Now, I was a public figure. Well, I still am a public figure, okay, because of my status as a fighter. And most people, if you look at what I looked like back then, I was intimidating. And the words that was used against me in court and the threats being made, they would not let up on me. They were threatening to take my kids. They were threatening to put me in prison, and you're forced to plea bargain. Now, if anyone out there believes that prosecutors don't do that, that they're actually looking for the real truth, but what they do is plea bargain, which is an omission of the truth. They try to get you to plea bargain by threats. And at this
What was
time,
the
which is the
threat then? So
weakest part of my life, I was at the bottom of my rope. I was in a crash. I'm losing my gyms. I lost my contract in Japan. I'm losing my house, and I just wanted to give up. I just said, let's get over this. What do we got to do? And I gave in.
And you pled, so you pled to that. So what was the thing that they're holding over your head that would have been like a worse charge?
That was it. They wouldn't back down from that.
Oh,
Because
I thought
again,
you. I
prior,
thought you. Well,
because
hold on, I thought you pled. You didn't. This
I did
wasn't a.
plead. I
Oh, okay.
pled. No, there was no. This it was.
You just want to save the money and go into trial. Is that then why you pled?
Oh well, no. I went to the workhouse for 30. I think it was 40 days.
Well, I'm saying like you usually plead to a lower offense. You're saying that it was the offense they were trying to.
Yeah, it was going to trial. It was all that stuff, but they said that with the way my attorney said with the way I looked, this that no, it's going to look bad if I went to trial. I'm like going, well then, I can't do this no more because again I'm losing my home. I've already lost pretty much everything. So when I went to the workhouse and got out, I literally had nothing. When I got out, I had 2 gym bags and a bike. That's what I had. I was
Well,
broke, and that was it. I was at the bottom of my life, and I just didn't want to deal with this no more. I was at that point where really, how far do I want to throw in a towel here, and where's the nearest bridge, and it was just very demeaning to me that I'm caught up in this crap.
you were
So
suicidal at that point.
I wasn't suicidal. I'm not. I'm not one of those people that can do that. I'm a strong Christian, but everybody kind of goes through this process, like going, I mean, do I really want to be here? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Fighting back from this, and on top of that, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't just under a rock, man. I was under a ditch under a rock, and now I have to fight back from that. And when I was in, I became a very focused, motivated person to never ever let people like that in my life again. And you know what? I should have listened to my inner voice. I knew that this was going to be trouble, and yet I tried to help. I tried to help people, and that's what screwed me in the past. I have lost so much from helping people, including my own family,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a very frustrating. And
Well,
so
I
you
mean,
have to
you know
learn
what?
how to protect yourself.
Yeah, what checks in is it's like so when we pull up your criminal record, there was a period that definitely shows like you hit a low, right? They all kind of come in that 2010 to 2012 era. I mean, you had a parking violation, no parking zone there, Brad. In 2020, huh? You better not, right?
What
But you did have so
in
you did have
2020?
another. What's that?
What?
That's what it says on your record is no parking. I'm making light on that's not really a criminal record there, but there was a another one here. This was in it's 2012. Convicted of a felony, and it says forgery, falsely making or altering a membership card. What was that about?
Yeah. So after I kicked her out of my house, I'm looking for a roommate, and I got caught up in a Craigslist scam. And this guy sends me this cashier's check from the Bank of America, and I still have all the paperwork on this. And it was then he starts wanting me to send him back money. I'm like, no, I gotta wait for the check to clear, and he wouldn't. He started threatening me, and I again, then it bounced from the bank. It was a bad cashier's check from Bank of America, and the bank even took it. I have copies of everything, and so I'm like, well, why would the bank take it if it was fraud? But I owed the bank no money. I didn't use any of it, and again, during all this time, Anoka County was like going, and again, I was already going to the workhouse. I just didn't want to deal with it. I really was like, I don't want to deal with it. What do you want to do? And just get it done. I just threw in the towel.
Okay. As Shelly Rose says, what charges are against Brad? I don't know anything about it. And then the reason I thought this was good. In fact, by the way, Brad, I think someone made a comment like this can't be easy to talk about, right? But you're a public figure, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because, yeah, you're running for office, so it'll get brought up, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be the friendliest person going through your record. So it has 14 just through the Minnesota criminal record thing. So like I was, making light. you look at 2020, it's no parking zone, right?
I don't even remember that.
Well, I mean, like I don't remember like minor traffic violations. So they're all in this, right? So then you get into the 2013, and that's another driving after cancellation of driver's license. It does add up that you were probably in a pretty rough part of your life. I don't think anyone's
I
doubting
had
that.
to rebuild my life, Jake.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, look, so this is the felony act, what you just made about forgery. This is petty misdemeanor here, another traffic crime. This is what we were talking about.
So, Jake, you go through all this stuff, and now you can't pay child support. Then they pull your driver's license. So now you got all these fines and fees and stuff like that from all these driving after revocation. And I tell you what, this is where again, we have such a busted system. And I'll stand my ground when it comes to, I don't believe you can fix anything unless you've been through it. Now, I am no angel, I'll tell you that right now. But honestly, before I came to Minnesota, I was like, man, this is one state that kind of tries to keep you in the system, and trying to get out is really hard. And so since all this, I have tried to become an advocate for people that have been incarcerated, because I understand how hard it is to get out of this system here, and I understand the plea bargaining system that they have here. And whether it's the black, white, brown, yellow, man, woman, once they have their claws in on you, they'll keep going after you. And so what I want to do is, okay, if I was held accountable, why aren't some of our elected officials being held accountable?
Oh, I mean, isn't that the question of a lifetime right
Okay,
there?
so
Especially the
come
people
at me.
that
I'm not gonna.
especially the people that were clients of Jeffrey Epstein, right? Or people that lied us into
Hey, yeah, what's
war,
next? I'm gonna have
or
a
that
picture with him.
or
I
that
mean,
or that shut down our state government, right? Or shut down private citizens. Yeah, that's a very, very valid question, Brad. How come those guys aren't in jail?
well, again, you get part of this again two-tiered system, and it's who you know and who you're friends with. I just think it's just wrong. And I look at half a million people that have been convicted of crimes and felonies here in Minnesota that were wrongly justified. The justice system was not just for them. A lot of them. Now, there's a lot that are really bad criminals, of course, but I'm saying that once you get in there, man, you cannot afford to get a top notch attorney. And hell, I mean, if I had OJ's money and we got to go there. I mean, laugh all you want, but I'll tell you what, here's the kicker, Jake. I'll tell you what, I have 3 baby mamas. Okay. I'm going to put it out there really plain and simple here. 3 baby
Is
mamas.
this the first
Okay?
time this has been brought up on the campaign trail now?
No, 4 kids. Now, listen, Donald Trump has five kids, 3 baby mamas. He lives in government housing, and he's married to an immigrant, and they still don't like him. Okay, so look now I do, but the 2 that are here in Minnesota gave me full custody of my kids after this. Okay, again, I'm not that guy. I'm a good father, and I've had some bad days, but it doesn't define us on who we are. And unless you really go out there and try to put yourself in those positions where you can help people and say, hey, look, I'm no illusional unicorn to these people that have been behind bars, but if I can make it out, you can make it out. But the problem is our system keeps punishing you. How long do we have to be in prison for something 2 decades ago?
Well, I think people judge the act. A Dewey seems to be something that doesn't punish politicians too much. There's just a wealth of evidence on that one, right? I can think of multiple Democrats that got reelected just the last election here in the legislature with recent Deweys. But things with minors seem to be very different, right?
I agree. Yeah.
Rape would be incredibly different, right? So yeah, I think
Now, don't be saying that on there. There'll be someone out there redoing the whole damn thing. I mean, come on, man. I mean, that's disgusting.
yeah. But I've also seen, I mean, like Brad Ganser was in the comment section. I've also seen what they considered a burglary, which was a college prank gone bad, 30 plus years being used against a guy. So It does happen. Rose Z says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I had a rumble rant from KWall for life. We're just here to remind them the Constitution is a feature, not a bug." Rose Z says, "I know I appreciate you asking the tough questions because this hasn't been the first time he's been asked, and definitely won't be the last." Yeah, that's actually the kind of the whole point
Well,
is it's definitely going to be brought up against you if you were to get some traction.
well, I've been on over 200 podcasts in the past seven years. I just released my second book 6 months ago, talking about it. I try to be as honest as I can when I'm in the Republican meetings about who I am and my background, and so. But I think what's important is, again, is getting people to know who I really am, not uh, something that is on paper.
Okay,
Now,
so you went through a low period in 2000 early teens. Who are you the guy today?
today I'm a Christian, a father, a businessman, and inventor, author, and I'm a person who loves. I do love helping people. You got to draw a line sometimes when it comes to helping people, I believe. But when I see a problem, I say something. Now, this is what I learned from my one that mistake. If I see a problem, I should have said something, and that's who I am today. So I see a problem, and what we have here right now is a bunch of, you know, um, well, I mean, weak people in office, weak men and women that are in office, and they're not strong. They don't stand their ground. They don't look out for the people.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not in this for the money, and so where does it stop? When is enough enough? When we have illegals coming in by the thousands, taking advantage of our system, our taxpayers. You know, I just think we have so many opportunities here to make Minnesota great again that it would be a sin to keep this locked up in my brain and not try to help. I think I have the solution to these problems that we have. Now, one of the things I stopped talking about was this fraud. The fraud is absolutely ridiculous anymore. I got a list right here of 40 more just unveiled. 40 more, but for my own investigator. And, it's not going to stop. But when one of us takes office in 2027, we're going to be $10 billion in the hole. Now, if we don't have the solution to get out of this, we're done. We're already bankrupt. We're flatlining here in Minnesota. So how do we turn this around? Now, I believe I have a really good plan. And again, if we don't move forward as a state together, and this is why I've been working so hard developing a great team, very smart people around me, very smart people who have read my book, understand my situation, and I've asked them straight out, if you don't think I can lead Minnesota, tell me now. And I'm not getting that. I'm getting people that say, well, it's going to be a tough road. Well, tough times don't last, Jake. Tough people do. You've been in the military. You know this. You know there's no quit attitude in you. That's why I love. That's why I like what you guys do.
Mhm.
I want the truth to come out. I want all of this to come out. When you attack these politicians for what they really are, I love it. And I want to be held accountable. That's why I bring a team with me that does not blow smoke up my butt. I want them to tell me exactly how it is, when it is. And a lot of them. And I just love it.
All right, what's the plan? Because I think you're speaking our heart. We think this state's going in the complete wrong direction. Most of your
Yes.
opponents on the Republican side are not offering much change. They're offering the status quo, to be perfectly frank. I mean, let's just be honest. Lisa Demuth, like
They're
whatever grand
campaigning.
ideas you have right now, why aren't you doing them? You're only the Speaker of the House. Like you can do them now. Let Tim Walz kill those bills, but essentially, I don't see you doing it. So,
You're absolutely right.
what's your plan to turn around Minnesota?
I've always believed that if you throw mud, you lose ground. It's really about focusing on me and what I am going to do. And I hope the people that hear me, this resonates with them, regardless of what's happened. So if we want to make Minnesota great again, okay, we do have to open the mines up north. We've got to open. There's 3.5 to $4 trillion of our money in the ground. That's lithium, cobalt, iron ore, copper, helium. There's gold, silver. Now, the iron ore alone is one of the largest in the world. Now, that's just not American steel. That's Minnesota steel. This mine's going to need 150 to 200 businesses to sustain that mine and keep the employees around there going. Now that's
Do
going to
you see
be.
something you can do though as governor? It seems like a lot of that is federalized in the sense that
I
it's
have
federal
federal
control.
people on my team helping me with this plan, Jake. Okay, and now we're going to have 60 to
What is that? Just
65,000
out of
people.
curiosity, what does that mean? So, as governor, you would lobby the feds, or what does that mean from like an action standpoint?
That we're going to mine this mine.
No, meaning like how do you achieve that as governor? It's not like you can just sign some act into, uh, or get the well, the legislature would pass the bill and you sign that bill. What as governor would you do to actually open the mines? I think a lot
Well,
of our
you're
audience would
going to
agree with you.
semantics here. You asked me about my plan. Yes, there's a lot of things to get this going, but this has got to happen because
Well, yeah, I know.
we need.
Okay, but Brad, I'm I'm like trying to understand you. Everyone agrees, I think, on this program, and I think you probably would say it's a done in a responsible way. We don't want to lose like the boundary waters, the great water up there, right? I don't know anyone that thinks that we should, right? That's the old tripe from the left. But you say you have a plan. What is the plan as governor? Yes, we all know they should be exploring those minerals up in the Iron Range. But what is the plan? How do you achieve that as governor?
Well, we've got to get both sides working on this and make sure it happens because it's got to happen. We're going to be $10 billion in the hole. We need other revenue streams other than the taxpayers. This is kind of the exact same thing that Donald Trump's doing with our tariffs and manufacturing. We need to open up our business opportunities here in Minnesota. We have to have zero business taxes, zero corporate taxes to bring people back. Because without people being here working, we have no taxes coming in. So first and foremost, let's not put the cart before the horse. We've got to get businesses here up and running. We've
Okay,
got
so
to get
you're
people.
for no corporate tax, or what is your policy here? Because when you say no taxes or low taxes, I'm like, yeah, go, yeah, I agree. So
Yeah, no
is that
business
what you're saying? You
taxes.
advocate for eliminating corporate tax
Yes.
or reducing the income tax? Because a lot of
We're
business.
going to reduce income tax as well.
Okay.
Again, we've got to make this a favorable state to come to. Our surrounding border states are killing us right now on
Mhm.
everything. People are going across the border for lower products, for lower taxes. That's just bad business. I mean, we have an idiotic government that during shutdowns increased our government by 40%, Jake. Now, that's bad business. What we got to get back to is good business practices. And again, I'm speaking vaguely, and I don't know how much time we got, but these are the things that we have to do. We have to get the right people to help implement them and see them through. Not like what our politicians are doing right now, saying, "Well, I need this, I have this many millions of dollars," and then it never gets finished, and they keep coming back for more money. We've got to start setting benchmarks that are feasible, that actually get finished. We've
Okay,
got to
so
have
can I
results.
can I just give you my assessment of what I'm hearing from you? Okay, and just do with it whatever you want to, Brad. Um, Kristen Robbins would say the exact same thing as you just said. So would
I don't think
Kendall
so.
Pauls. Yeah, they would. They all say we need to mine. We need to bring back business here. I think when you lead with you have this plan, what people want to hear is what is that plan? Outline that plan, give us those steps and how you're going to implement it differently. I think the thing that I heard the most from you was you got to get the right people in the right positions. Okay, I think I could hear others saying that, but that at least is maybe one way to do this. But when you just say we got to get this done, it's like, yeah, we all agree with that. Give us those steps. That's what we want to hear because then I start believing in your campaign. I think Trump, in many regards, did this. I'll put the right, well, I mean, he said I saw an executive order day one. Things like that. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy's actually going to do it, right?
Well, that's it. I do what I say I'm going to do, and this we're going to. And I tell you what, I've been to 15 forums, and no one's talking about this but me, Jake. They're all talking about fraud. And I'm telling you,
Well, that's
fraud is the
that's true. A
top.
lot of people are, but I mean,
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? Like
so
every Republican candidate will tell you, we got to open up the minds, right?
no, none of them's talking about it. Not one.
Oh.
Sorry, I've been to every one of them. I'm the only one talking about that.
You're not the only one to talk about bringing back business in Minnesota.
I mean, we got to be
I mean, I
aggressive.
can
I
look at
mean,
everyone's campaign site. I guarantee it's on every single one of theirs.
I like to see it. They're not talking about it.
Well,
They're
that's
talking
interesting.
about,
I actually don't go to these forums,
yeah,
which is it's a cool and a bad thing. The way that things work, and I respect you guys for doing it because it takes a lot of time. There's just a million forums when you run for governor and you
it
seek a
is.
Republican endorsement. You got to go all the way across Minnesota. Sometimes you might be, playing to an audience of 10 people, right? And those 10 people matter, in my opinion. It's just like, man, I got to drive 4 hours to go talk to 10 people. That's how it's done. And there's a million forums. But so that's the sad side of it. And guys like me who've got kids in sports, that's just like not a reality. I'm going to have that evening free. But the good side of it is then you get to kind of work. I mean, it's a nice thing. You're working on perfecting your campaign, your messaging, you're hearing if it's 10 people in BFE, Minnesota, you at least hear what their worries are. And so that's a good part of it. It's a lot of things in politics. There's the good and the bad. I see both sides of that one. All right,
Yeah,
Brad, let me. Go
I
ahead.
see the questions. Yeah, and
Yeah, let's go through
another thing is with all the fraud and the stuff, and CPS is mentioned right here too. Again, that is one of the things that I do have some really good people that are going to help me with correcting some of the problems that we have in some of our offices. That
Do you have okay? So I'm glad you brought that. I'll get to you guys' questions here in a second. Um, that's one of the things that are frustrating to me. Okay, so I see all of them talking about fraud. One of the ones that I think is so funny is Kristen Robbins talks about fraud as the chair of the fraud committee, and then Lisa Damuth is. And I appointed the right person as the chair of the fraud committee. I'm like, the fraud committee hasn't found any fraud. It's a joke. It's a fraudulent committee. They won't even investigate fraud inside the Republican ranks with a credible, it seems to me, a credible allegation against Ryan Kreischa. It seems like it's our media that's finding the fraud, right?
Well, wasn't it Joe Thompson?
I think Joe Thompson found some. Yes, yeah. It's the media. It's the federal prosecutor.
He's a felon. He's a federal.
Right, he's a federal prosecutor, right?
No one in our states,
but the fraud committee hasn't found any fraud. So,
Jake, here's the problem.
What are we doing to solve the fraud? And to me, it's like, well, these guys all vote for the bills that fund the dang organizations and the entities that create the fraud.
Jake, if this was a publicly traded company, okay, they would all be fired and they'd be criminals.
Right.
This is the failure of fiduciary duties and responsibility to the people that they are supposed to look out for. They are supposed to be looking out for us, and they're not. They're making these decisions, okay, and they're not even checking. They're not even checking where the checks are going. You have the opportunity, and I've talked to senators, I've talked to House members. You have the opportunity to see this, and they're not even doing their job, Jake. And again, why am I getting in? Because other people won't. I tell you what, you've said it before. There are better candidates, but they don't want to do it. I want to do this job. I want to go in there with better people, smarter, better people than me, and say, Brad, we need this done, and I got the kahunas and the backbone to get it done. I am not afraid to put myself out there when others won't. And
so, what's distinguish yourself from the others when it comes to fraud? How do you solve this very big problem? And why most campaigns are talking about it. Well, how do you solve this big problem? What's
the NGOs and the nonprofits have got to be really, we've got to have like quarterly auditing to begin with. This is, if something's going on, we got to catch it sooner than later. But really what's going on is that there's no checks and balances when it comes to transparency on where the money's going. Now, we know there's one community that's taking a lot of money and taking advantage of our American system. We've got to stop that. This is war without the swords and bullets right now. We've got to get aggressive here. We don't need pansies in office. We need people that are going to go in there with the cops, elbow to elbow, stopping the crime in our streets.
Okay, so your plan is a quarterly audit of these, high risk.
And every elected official, everything. And you know what? I want Doge in here daily. I want to create my own Doge using some of the local colleges.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to some of the comments. Noof 2727 says, "What happened to Reverend Tim?" So that is an interesting one.
Tim and I are still friends, and there was some miscommunication somehow there with my campaign manager and him.
So people understand, you had brought him on the show, and this is many months ago. As you was your lieutenant governor, Candy. He's no longer your lieutenant governor, and I believe he's endorsed or supports Kristen Robbins, if I remember right.
I'm not sure we're going to put that way anymore, but he kind of left me right away and made some decisions. And again, we're still friends. I still see him in church every other Sunday, and I am down in the Baptist churches in Minneapolis every Sunday. There's 3 or 4 of them that I go to. Friends with a lot of the Black community pastors and reverends and the deacons down there. So I've made a lot of connections down there, and Tim had a lot of help with introducing me to that. But we just did not see eye to eye on policies and stuff like that. And with respect, we decided to kind of end that relationship.
Okay, so can I ask, like, what were those policies and why that was not brought up ahead of time? Because it looks bad when you have a lieutenant governor candidate and then that person leaves.
Well, we had him and my campaign manager had a problem with Tim having to raise money as part of the help. As do you have any avenues that what we're using? We're raising all this money. Can you help us in some way? And Tim got upset about that, and they kept clashing about some of the posts that Tim would put on X, and that I talked to Tim about, going, why would you put that on there? That's really kind of like not the Republican way kind of thing. And he was insisting that he doesn't carry water through the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, but to me, he was acting too much like a podcaster. And again,
Was this on policy?
just
I thought that's what you said. It was a policy.
yeah, well, I think we kind of jumped the gun early by announcing his participation, and but again, it kind of worked out to learning about what we really need to have. I mean, I've had like several people try to come aboard the campaign that were just lunatics. That I'm like, okay, we'll give him a shot. And I go, oh gosh, let's get rid of this person right away. And of course, Tim's not one of those. It's just that this probably wouldn't right position. He was having some health issues, still having health issues. This is a very demanding position, being on the road and being physical as well. And so Tim, he's been public about his kidney transplant that he needs. He's on a donor list, and so he's been I pray for him every day. He's a good guy. I love the guy. He's a really good friend, and it just was bad timing. But we talked quite a bit. Actually, I just talked to him today, and still, he's 110% behind me. So
I had heard. So was it not true that he supported Kristen Robbins?
I don't think Kristen Robbins took that as part of her campaign. So I don't think she's acknowledging that at all.
Okay, I thought it was maybe a social media post. I honestly can't remember that. I had heard a rumor, and tell me if this is just false, that you didn't actually, you maybe interviewed him and he had made an announcement, but there wasn't a decision, and so you just kind of went with it. So you never actually.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Yeah, it's
So that is.
Yeah, that did happen. But
So if I just say right now, well, I'm Brad Kohler's lieutenant governor candidate. Yeah. You're just gonna go with it.
Well, I liked him. I think he'd be a great. I think we need someone. We need someone very strong to help fix our cities, our inner cities. And Tim's got those connections, and I really thought he's a great candidate for that. And again, I didn't realize how sick he has been, and I felt really bad that I don't know if I should really have him on here. And then what happened was I think him and John had a fight, and you met John. You met John Marino, and they had a discrepancy, and then Tim, without
you're just saying he just decided by his own to say that he was a lieutenant governor candidate, and you just went with it. That seems like that was.
I was like, well, so it's early on. Let's see what happens here.
You're not making a good argument that you're a high-tier candidate.
I know, man. But you know what, Jake?
By the way, for people that don't know, we have on the show our great supporters are premium insiders. You can I'll put the link on right now. You can become a premium insider. You get access to our post show. One of the things we had known ahead of time, and by the way, if you're not on the live comments, you can go to truthhurtsnews.com, click on it there. I'm just going to post this real quick here before I forget it. We had actually known that Ryan Wilson was going to be Damus, lieutenant governor candidate, a couple weeks ahead of time. So just like we get a lot of the rumors, and that's why I'll ask if it's true, because sometimes they're not true. Sometimes I just don't believe these things, and they turn out. We had heard that there was going to be. We had actually heard Republicans were going to come out against Ron Krisha, including Elliot Ingen, the auditor candidate. That one I almost didn't even believe. I don't know if I even told our insider audience. Maybe we did, but I didn't believe that. So we get the scoop on a lot of things. Jake Currier's asking a question here. I am hearing rumors Brad might agree to be a lieutenant governor candidate on a ticket with someone else already running. Can you talk about this rumor?
That is, I'll never be a second. Yeah, I never said that I would be somebody's second. Um, I was being polite, and I don't like to. I don't have a problem with any of the other candidates. I really don't. I just do what I'm doing and focus on my campaign. I was asked that question. I go, well, I'm a team player, but who knows? We'll see what happens. But I've never said about anybody's campaign. And like I said, I do. I'm very open about. I like Scott Jensen. I like Phil Parrish. I have no problem with any of these people. I just would not be somebody's second. I'd rather go back to manufacturing than to not have that. I think I have the right drive to get things done. We all have a proven background, and I do have a lot of pride of what I want to see done. And I just don't know if, I'll put it to you this way. If I thought that there was someone better than me to do this job, I would concede and get behind that campaign. And it's not that I think anyone's a bad man. I just think that I have, for the past 5 years, have planned this mission, and I've been learning the entire time. I have not stopped campaigning since 2021. I have not quit because I have been learning more and more about how to fix Minnesota. And so sometimes, Jake, I got to say this. Sometimes you need the wrong person for the right job. And you go into that, and yes, you do. You can roll your eyes.
No,
But,
I'm trying to like work through that. So you need the wrong person.
So Trump was unelectable, and I'm not trying to compare myself either. But these people, they judge you. But I'm the guy who does have a circle of friends that will come in and help me get the job done. So you can.
I don't understand. I wasn't rolling my eyes. I'm wondering that you say the wrong person for the right job. I don't think I've ever heard that before.
So there are people out there that look like they fit that bill. Okay.
Okay. You're kind of saying like you're the wrong person. Like you don't belong in that job is kind of.
I'm the right person for that job because the people that I can bring with me to help get the job done. And that's what we need, is getting the job done. Not going up there and go, let me run circles around your answer and never give you the right answer. I answer the questions.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to that on campaign wise. You get the job done. Okay.
Yeah.
I speak to an audience here that thinks like there's a real problem in Minnesota, and it's not just Democrats, by the way. It's also Republicans. We have to reverse course. So can you give me at least like 2 or 3 things that you would get the job done on as governor if you're elected? Like, what are those top priorities, and what would you do to get the job done?
Well, we've got to, again, get our house in order. When I mean the house, I mean the entire government. We have to go in there, assess the damage, find out of these DEI positions, or I should say FTE positions that were hired there, who should stay, who should go. We got to create some growth here in Minnesota. And again, hiring the people that are not just going to start something and not get it done, but they need to finish it. So I need finishers. I need smart people out there that are going to finish these projects. Okay. So we got to implement the right people that are going to be pricks and get the job done and not worry about hurting feelings.
Okay. I've just, my criticism, what you're saying seems very vague, but let's dig in, because O'Bannon's got a good question. Name one quality person you will bring with you.
Steve Huck.
Explain who that is and why that person.
Steve Huck's executive in the healthcare system and CEO of other companies. He's very organized and very well knowledgeable in the healthcare system. I would ask other candidates that did not win to come along with me. I know Phil Parrish is very good about the transparency and fraud and finding out where the damage has been done and correcting it. I know that Scott Jensen would be great in the healthcare industry. And so, people like that we can get in. I know I have a guy that his name is Jeremy Johnson. He goes by the Disrespected Trucker on X. We need a new MnDOT person that's going to actually help get these help the truckers. We need a new farming and agriculture person that's going to
And
make sure
do you have names that you know for those positions?
Not yet. No, I am talking to people, but no one's. Jeremy Johnson accepted the position. The other people also have, but it's really about focusing on campaigning right now, continuing building the brand.
Okay,
And
let's go to this. So, and this is great. Andy Parrish show is in the comment section. Andy Parrish is a seasoned veteran. He's the one that got former Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann elected to U.S. Congress. So this is a guy that's been at a pretty high level, also a senior advisor to her presidential campaign. Even though she was not successful running for president, she did win the Iowa straw poll, which is no small feat. Andy asks, I have two things. I want to know two things, and these are fair. Number one, how much money has he raised? And number two is how many delegates he speaks to each week. So number one, how much money have you raised?
we're over 200,000 right now.
200,000. Do you have an idea like cash on hand?
About 15,000 on hand, but it's constantly coming in every day.
And I think that's actually good you said that, because most candidates wouldn't tell you. I would say a lot of people would be shocked by that. I don't think people thought you've raised almost $250,000. Okay, I think they would have thought you've raised maybe 10 to 20,000. And that was my assumption too when I made those statements.
Well, I started early in the conversation. I said we're averaging about 30,000 a month, and it's been going on for a little over 6 months now. And again, my book sales are going very well. And
you keep bringing up book sales. What does that have to do with the campaign?
Well, the book sale, the money goes towards me being on the road, me buying literature, me getting out there, So it goes to my campaign.
So when people buy the book, it's a campaign contribution, you're saying?
Yeah, it's on my website. It's on my website.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Andy's second question, and this is a very good question: how many delegates does he speak to each week? How many delegates do you talk to each week? Obviously, there's no delegates yet selected for the next election year. That will happen on caucus night. But I think we know that a lot of people go every year, and so.
So I'm not going to beat around the bush here. That's not important to me right now.
You are seeking the Republican endorsement?
I will seek the Republican endorsement, but right now we don't have a finalized delegate list for me to have to contact. Secondly, I've been going to every event, getting to know a lot of people. Okay, I've opened up my phone and talked to many, many people that are delegates, some that are going to be delegates. So I have been talking to them, but personally, Christian Robbins and many others have announced that they're not going to honor the endorsement system. So I would love to be the endorsed candidate. I'm going to go through the system. I'm going to do things all I can to do that. But I do believe I'm going to be the more popular one in the state of Minnesota that will win the primary.
Okay, so let's edit Andy's question. I can see why he was asking that question as a campaign guy. So then let's edit it to say, how many Republican primary voters do you talk to every week?
Oh, probably, I want to say 500-600.
Well, that would be a healthy activity for this stage in the race.
Well, I'll tell you what. I respond to everybody on my social media every day. I respond to every email, every text that comes in. There isn't one person that goes to my website that I don't respond to, let alone on all my social media platforms. So building those relationships for the past 5 years is what I've been doing. So I do have, literally 10,000 people in my phone that I keep in contact with. We do that through our emails. We keep people updated what's going on, when we're meeting, when to go out on social media, like, share, comment. And so we're growing our social media organically with just Minnesota people. So it's not like I'm out there getting campaign. I mean, other candidates have a big following, but they're not just Minnesota people. And so when you're going out there and getting all these followers, what have you, and you can buy followers, which some of them already have done that, but
Those are
it
no good.
doesn't build relationships,
Those don't translate to actual votes.
right?
You
But I
can
mean,
buy a lot of Russian bots too.
but you're talking about 87 counties that I have captains in. And I don't mean just captain. I have friends in there that have
But
meetings
you have captains for your campaign in 87 counties.
in almost every county. I do.
You say almost every county. Like, give me a ballpark. There's 87 counties in Minnesota. How many do you have?
Well, there was over 60. I know that.
I mean, okay. I mean, that would be an impressive campaign, Brad. 60 captains in different counties across the state. I don't even need to look. Not a single other campaign at this stage has that. Tim Walz probably does, right?
Yeah.
Jennifer DeJournet. Okay, so here we got somebody that's been in politics for quite some time. Most recently as the political director or whatever, executive director of the MNGOP, says 15K cash on hand and 200,000 raised. Jake asked him if it's all digital turn and burn fundraising. By the way, I'm just gonna say, Brad, the fact you're even answering these questions and I mean, this is fantastic. Like, do you understand like how many campaigns would be like, cut them off? Oh, we can't talk any longer. And Brad's like making himself available. So I love it. These are valid questions people are bringing up, and you're facing them straight on. So I think she's from an insider perspective. Like, is it a bunch of, you hire a fundraiser? It's a costly fundraiser.
Yeah.
It's a lot of burn.
I have a couple of those, but that's not all my fundraising.
Okay. And when you say that, what do you mean? Because earlier you said you haven't done an actual fundraising event.
Well, I've netted on every fundraiser since day one, which is unheard of, including the mailers and the text marketing. So they do give me my nets every week. Okay. So that's again, my campaign has been popular, and I have been getting net residuals every week from my national mailers, my national text marketing, and also again through my website and my book sales. So we have been doing very well. Now, again, I have a different way of doing things than your typical politician, your typical GOP politics. Okay, because I don't care who talks to me right now. Make sure you tell me you've been on a winning campaign before you come talk to me and tell me what to do, because I already talked to enough losers out there that have lost. Now,
well, I mean, listen, you just had Andy Parrish, and that's the guy that actually has been on a winning campaign. So,
good. And again, I just answered him, and I will. But but give me advice. But tell me what worked for you, what didn't work for you. You've got to lose a few times to learn how to win.
Right, as long as people can adjust to the modern landscape too, because it's funny. I saw like when Tim Pawlenty ran in 2018, it was all the same old tricks. I'm like, of course you're not going to win the primary. Like, and I think he even admitted when he lost to Jeff Johnson, like, this is the era of Trump. This is not my era. It's like, yeah, wake up, because I'll get the same thing when he failed in 2022. O'Bannon says, answer JJT. Look out, she needs a job. She did write, yes, there are lists. Absolutely, there's a solid list. So she's referring to, there are lists of delegates, and you can ask the party for that. I'm certain you have.
I asked 3 times, including her. I didn't get it yet.
You're saying you don't have a list of the delegates?
I asked 3 times.
Is there a reason that
I even emailed her. I can show you the email from her if you want me to.
I mean, yeah, you should be able to get that list. I don't see anything that would be prohibitive of you.
Again, the way they do things, I'm just not agreeing with. And right now, I don't know, what the GOP is thinking.
Okay, let's see. What Shelley says, why does Scott Jensen suck, if I may ask, please?
Well,
all right, he's your opponent. Go ahead and answer that one there.
Yeah, I think Scott's a hell of a guy. I'll be honest with you. He's a smart man. He's done this before. He's certainly. I believe that we were cheated in 24. I think that if we weren't, that it may have been a different race right now. Scott may be in there right now if it wasn't.
So you're saying, do you think the election was stolen and Scott really was the victor? Is that what you're saying?
Come on.
I'm asking a serious question. Is that what you're saying? Absolutely. I don't believe that.
You don't?
No, not at all.
I tell you what. He may not have won, but I tell you what, there was some election fraud.
Well, yeah, of course there was election fraud.
Well, I think it'd been a closer race. We don't know.
Okay, so I'm pretty certain if I got this right, Jensen lost by 7 points. So what is that? Hundreds of thousands of votes? You think the fraud is that widespread that that's why Scott Jensen lost?
I don't really have an answer for that. I just know that there was a lot of fraud going on, which we all can agree on, right? And I think I think he came close.
I don't agree with that to the point that it was the reason that somebody lost.
No, okay, you're right about that. I'm saying it probably would have been closer if that wasn't going on. So I think it was a pretty solid race.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to bug you on this one because I actually am kind of curious how you answer this. If there was 10 cases of fraud statewide, yes, technically it would be closer, but I mean, he's still lost by 7-point margin, just with 10 less votes that he lost by. How much closer do you think? Like how big a fraud do you think we're dealing with here?
Well, we had a lot of illegals coming in too that were voting, right?
That's not been proven anywhere.
Okay. Well, then I'll just leave that alone.
Okay. I mean, it's a commonly held belief. That's why I'm pushing back. You're not the only one to say that.
Here's what I will say to you, Jake. Okay. I don't have a problem with Scott Jensen. Okay. I got a problem with, with basically, all the crap that's going on here in Minnesota. And there's just not enough accountability across the board. And we have poor leadership. Do I think Scott would be a great governor? Who's to say? It's really not us to say. It's for the people of Minnesota to vote on. And so I don't have a problem with Scott Jensen, Phil Parrish, or any of them. Okay. I think either one of us would certainly do better than Walz.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But what I did was I researched where did we lose? And we lost in our blue areas. And we know the blue areas. I've worked very hard in St. Paul and Minneapolis, turning these people to Republicans. And I can prove it. They're in the Republican Party now. They're coming to the meetings. This is a fact that I have the Hmong leaders, the Vietnamese leaders, the Cambodian, the Lao, the Hispanic. I have the leaders of these communities building relationships with the Republican Party. Now, whether I win or not, I've introduced these people to the Republican Party. And that's what we needed to do. That's how we lost, because nobody was going into these communities. It wasn't Scott, because Christopher will tell you that. It wasn't Burke. It wasn't Kendall Qualls. Hell, I go down to the black community. They ask me, who is Kendall Qualls? And that's the God's truth. The God's truth. I kid you not. I'll put them on the phone right now. They ask me, who's Kendall Qualls? I go, come on. They go, who is he?
What is this show?
It's not even a joke. I'm being for real.
I know. It's just so funny to me. Love the space you are in. Sounds like they just that's an interesting handle. Hi, Mr. Kohler. We look forward to meeting you again in mid-January when you go to the Fillmore County and Houston County Republicans Forum in Mabel, Minnesota, aka for Southeast Minnesota, with Liz Collin of Alpha News.
Sure. Your friend.
Who's that?
Liz Collins.
Oh. Andy is asking, did you refuse to sign the list agreement with the MNGOP?
No.
So essentially why you wouldn't be able to get the delegate list?
I refused anything. I've asked for it 3 times.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. I think I saw another comment, maybe Jay Lass, about how MNGOP picking favorites. Yeah, I know. I hate that. But let's see. I want to make sure I get everyone. Jake, do your Trump impersonation. I need a laugh. First of all, anyone, no, I don't have a Trump impression. Anyone that thinks I have a Trump impression is listening to fake news.
Well,
anytime I say fake news, I was doing that voice, and now my little kids go fake news. Let's see here. We just need Tampon Tim out of there. Says Rosie. Yeah, I think Jay Lass a ham sandwich could do better than Tim Walz. Yeah, and less destructive. Well, all right, Brad.
Again,
go ahead.
I don't have a problem with any of the candidates. I like that the field is growing. I think
I have a problem with a lot of the candidates. Okay,
but I love the field that's growing, and it is what it is. And Jake, I didn't I got in because I thought I'd be a good candidate. Number one, I wanted to learn, what this was all about. Because before the COVID, I was never involved with politics, and what I've learned is of all the mistakes being made and all the problems that we have. And I didn't want to just talk about it. I wanted to step up and do something about it. So here I am. And
Oh, I think a lot of people appreciate you being on this show, answering these questions, being transparent on that. Like, no, so for people that don't understand, obviously you know this. And by the way, O'Bannon says $5 Rumble Rant. If you do not do a Trump impression, that's fake news. I don't know. No one likes you,
wait a minute,
O'Bannon. No one
wait a
likes you, little
minute.
O'Bannon. No one likes
Is Trump in the room? Was that Trump?
I don't. Yeah, no one likes little O'Bannon. Go away, O'Bannon.
Come on, let's get a Rumble Rant here. And guys, honestly, I do enjoy Jake's show, the good and the bad ones. I do
The
support.
bad ones? What are we talking about? Come on, they're all gold. Come on, I've never screwed up on this show. It's all
And
gold.
I'll tell you
Brad.
what, for anybody who donates $100 to my campaign today at bradcore.com, you'll get a signed autographed picture personally to you of that. It's still one of the top 5 knockouts of the world. You'll get my book. You'll get your trading cards, animal with rewards in the back, and I'll throw in my rookie card. $100 to my campaign at bradcoller.com. There you go. I got my plug in, man.
Oh, that's good stuff, man. Yeah,
But,
we've shown that knockout before. That's how I knew who you were, because that thing was so legendary, like early day knockouts in the UFC.
well, I've done some really cool things in my life, and I always, you start off somewhere, and I love it when people say, "You can't do that; you'll get killed." I was the shortest heavyweight in the world, and last week it was funny. There was a picture out there about the last form in Wyzetta, and they go, everybody's so tall around you. Isn't that intimidating?" And I just said, I've been the underdog my whole life fighting giants. I don't measure a person's height by the how tall they are. It's all in your heart. And I mean that. I really do mean that.
You were the shortest heavyweight, but you weren't the
But you know what?
smallest. I mean, you were
But
you were
Jake, I
pretty
don't
jacked,
believe there's
man.
anything you can't do if you want. This is a great country.
That's right.
And we have a great state, and it's worth fighting for. And that's why I'm here. It's worth fighting for. And if I have to put myself out there and be a target, there's 500,000 felons out there that want to vote. And guess who gave them that right to vote? The Democrats. This is the chance to use all their stuff against them right now.
You can vote.
They can vote.
No, you can.
So, I've been allowed to vote for a long time, but
yeah. I mean, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
And again, there are so many things that people getting in don't realize. Rule of thumb: if you're going against an incumbent, you should get out there 2 years early. Otherwise, we know what it is. It's a cash grab. This is a cash grab for some of these people getting in here because there's a big state and a lot of people to meet, and not getting out there and grinding and getting to know these people in this great state of Minnesota. And having them have your phone number. I remember the days when you'd have a problem and say, write your congressman, and you could write your congressman. I want to be able to be answering the phone when people tell me, hey, I'm down here and da-da-da. Oh, I remember you. What's going on? And I have a problem, and I can help them. This is important to me that they realize how valuable they are to their elected officials. We've lost that. And I want to bring that back.
All right. Jennifer writes, Brad, you should be able to get into data center, and lists are totally available. To my knowledge, all statewide have access into data center. Do you have data center access with the Republican Party?
I'll check into that. I'll ask my managers. Yeah.
Okay. So,
and again, I'm not opposed to.
Who says Brad Kohler for governor? You got a supporter there.
Well, thank God they didn't say county commissioner.
Wing says, okay, now that you brought up height, I saw your fight where they introduced you as 5'9" tall. That might also be fake news.
Wow.
Oh, they're grilling you, man.
Hey, I gotta tell you, I was 5'9" with my boots on.
Well, people do shrink over the years, right?
Yeah.
So what stone have we left unturned here, Brad? I do really think The audience appreciates you coming on here. Most of our audience does not watch live, but we've had a pretty good live audience. I think people will be appreciative. I don't know if they'll like all the answers here. I think some will be shocked by, some of the things you said about your campaign size. I mean, quite frankly, let's just be honest. Like, why do you not get added in stories on the major media networks? Why do they not bring you up in polling? Because they don't think you're a top tier candidate. Probably because they don't think you've raised $200,000. They don't know you have 60 captains across the state of Minnesota and county captains, I should say. So by the way, you say you don't like boasting, Brad. Like, your campaign needs momentum. If these things are true, that should be brought up so that people have belief that your campaign's going somewhere. Okay, does that make sense?
I like the way you think. It's just, again, some people talk the talk, and I want to walk the walk. I mean, I want to show you how hard I'm working by my notoriety, because I've gotten to meet these people because they care to. I care about them, and so to go out there and go, oh, I met all these people today, and blah 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 blah. Well, you can see it on my social media. I post how active I am. It's not even a fraction of all the pictures I could be posting. So I could boast more with all the activity that I do throughout the state of Minnesota and what I am doing. One thing I would like to add, though, is November 20th. It's the big Thanksgiving feed the homeless down at the Salvation Army in Minneapolis. We could use volunteers. I am big into that. I don't like to post too many of that because it's some of the pictures with these people are kind of sad. But I do donate at my own dime through my catering business, and I don't take any campaign money for it. It's my own money that I use to help feed people. And
campaigns can give to charities, by the way.
What's that?
Campaigns actually can give to charities, by the way.
Well, I don't.
You just said it's not fraud. I'm like, that's not fraud.
I separate church and state because I wanted to come from me and who I really am, not Brad running for governor. Okay, I'm not trying to buy votes. I'm just trying to win friends, and so I'll go out there and grind and meet you for coffee. If you want to help me on the 20th, I really need about 15 people. And you can go to bradkohler.com and just say, hey, Brad, I'll come down and help you. And I'll tell you where to meet. We're meeting at at one of the black churches over there on Thomas Street in Minneapolis. We'll all go together. And, this is the big day in about 6-7 hours of feeding the homeless. So if people want to come down and help, these are the things that I want to do to show the kind of leadership that we need here in Minnesota. That when people are down, we always talk about all these candidates and people always putting people down. And I'll tell you right now, the only time I want to look down at somebody is when I'm helping them up. I do not want to talk bad about somebody. And so we have a lot of hurting people here in Minnesota that need help. And if you can donate a couple hours of your time, I would really appreciate that.
Well, boy, I like some of your supporters. Barbara says, I have never watched a show. I came on because I'm a huge supporter of Brad, but I like that you ask such real questions. I believe Brad Kohler would be our next Minnesota governor. Well, thank you so much. And I would also wonder if my Trump impression's good. Bannon doesn't see. Bannon's such a hater.
Do it again. Come on. Put effort in this time, Jake. Come on.
Anyone says it's not, it's fake news. I don't pretend to have it. I used to make young William do the impressions. That was not my impression. All right. Brad, yeah, I think it was great for you to come on here and answer some candid questions. I think in full disclosure, I'll let people know. This Brad and I were chatting yesterday, and I said I can't confirm yet that you could be on the show because I am waiting for a couple of responses. Still didn't get those, so I provided Brad on. One was Patrick Knight, businessman, 20-year Marine veteran, announced his run for governor. Didn't hear back from their campaign. Texted, in full disclosure, Ryan Wilson, invited him to come on, try to convince me Lisa Damuth is a good gubernatorial candidate. Haven't heard back from Ryan. So, and we'll continue having people on. I just got to say, Brad, I've done this a long time. I've been in politics a while.
Yeah.
most won't come in and do this stuff. To steal the old Bill O'Reilly term, it's kind of the no spin zone here. Like
Well, I'll tell you what. One of your Jennifer DeJornet that mentioned. I like Jennifer. She's very straightforward. I always liked the way she was, always very candid. I like that. I like the people that are that way with me. The campaign we have a year to go. There's what 14 candidates running now and 12 months.
is it 14?
And we have one great opportunity here to do that. And so I'm looking forward to this. I really appreciate your time and effort by putting this together and asking me. And again, you know, give me a chance to clear the air on some things that you may have heard about or whatever, especially with the campaign money. Which again, I'm not a bragger or a boaster. I just go out there and grind, and the proof is in the pudding. So,
Gotcha. Well, Brad, thanks very much. They want to learn more about you. Where do they go?
go to bradkohler.com and subscribe. I will respond to you. You'll get my email and my phone number. You can text me. We're going to meet for coffee. I would love to hear what you have. I do this with everybody. So believe me when I say I've met thousands of people in this past year alone, I have.
Good.
My goal from December to December this year is to have 12,000 people in my phone that I've had coffee with or met with throughout the groups. And I constantly keep adding people to my phone because I want to build friendships with people in Minnesota so I can, you can call me when you have a problem, because I think it's important that we have a person in office that values who you are and the concerns that you have. I don't think that we have that going on for quite a while now. And I do love the truth hurts, because Jake is that direct person. He didn't hold back tonight. I hope I did everything that you were looking for, and I will continue to be truthful. And that's my creed. My true character as a Christian is to be truthful.
Well, that's what makes this show easy for me. And that's why I call it Truth Hurts, is that I'm going to say what I believe to be true. Now, I say that because maybe I get something wrong, but I'm not telling you bullshit. And that's just so not how politics works. Most people are full of shit. And I think that's bad. And I think it should be our joint Christian views that lying is a bad thing.
Yeah.
But we give so many people in politics a pass on it when they're clearly lying. So we call that out on the show, and sometimes that's hurtful because you have to hear it, and it's someone you thought was a good old conservative. It's like, you know what? They're lying to you. They say they're conservative and they vote for large omnibus bills that grow government. It's not the same thing. So that's what we do.
You're right. And I'd rather have someone be truthful and honest rather than going, okay, here comes so-and-so, the BSer, and I've appreciated that with some of the people that I've met throughout the years, running in my campaigns. And yeah, I've learned quite a bit, and I'd hate to, stop now when I think that, the best of me is yet to come.
Oh, baby. All right, we'll leave it on that, Brad. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Oh, Jake. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right. I got this funny. Radtrad says, do an angry Bill O'Reilly impersonation, Jake. And you know what's so funny about that? I assume you're referring to that hot mic, after a flub on his show, that infamous Bill O'Reilly. The studio. So when Dawson, we haven't got a new studio technician. Obviously, I basically do a webcam here in the studio now. So when Dawson was running the dials, if he did something that screwed up, like right where it's like we're going live and that's the tough part, I could see that impression possibly coming out. It makes Bill O'Reilly look terrible. But when you have like the pressure put on a show on live and then something gets messed up and it's, someone's fault, you're just like, you understand why he did that, which is crazy. All right. This episode was brought to you by Alpine Capture in the great city of St. Cloud, Minnesota. Also brought to you by EliteGuardianMN.com. It's a prepper company. Our next concealed carry and home defense course, which does qualify you for your Minnesota permit to purchase, Minnesota permit to carry, is on Black Friday, November 28th. Just go to EliteGuardianMN.com and sign up. If you are not a member, Premium Insider, I'll give him my thoughts about how this conversation went. in the post show, which will start 30 seconds after this live broadcast. If you want to follow up, if you're not watching this live, most of the audience doesn't, and would like to see it, go ahead and go to truthhurtsnews.com and sign up. I'm going to post a link here real quick in the live stream. You won't see this for the people that are not watching live. So just go to truthhurtsnews.com, sign up to become a premium insider. Helps us out with the show, keeps us independent. And then you can still access those post shows after the fact. Also, if you're on Rumble, you can just click on the link on the top. It says join. That also gets you the same spot. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's see. We had K-Wall for Life, $10 Rumble rant. O'Bannon, I guess I didn't do my impression long enough to get that $5 Rumble rant. I'll work harder on that, O'Bannon. I'll work so much harder on that one. But anyhow, thank you guys. You guys had so many great questions, and I thought Brad was a good sport for answering them. We'll be live in the post show here. For everyone else, we'll see you next week.